Hello, I'm Cashman. Let me show you how money really works.
If you've built a large retirement account, there's a moment coming that most people never plan for. At age 73, the government can force you to withdraw tens of thousands of dollars, whether you need it or not. And the worst part? That money doesn't just come out, it gets taxed immediately, sometimes pushing you into a higher bracket, increasing your Medicare premiums, and even causing more of your Social Security to become taxable, all at once. This is what's known as the RMD trap. And later in this video, you'll see how some retirees legally reduce this tax hit, sometimes dramatically, while others walk straight into it and lose thousands without realizing it until it's too late. Because here's the truth most people miss. Saving for retirement is only half the game. Knowing how to withdraw is where people lose. So let's break this down. Most people feel proud when they see a large 401k or IRA balance. And they should. It represents discipline, consistency, decades of doing the right thing. But what most don't realize is this. That account has a silent partner, the IRS. And for years, they've been patient, letting your money grow, untouched, tax-deferred. But eventually, they come to collect. Not when you want, when they decide. And that decision comes in the form of required minimum distributions. At a certain age, the government forces you to start pulling money out of your retirement accounts. You don't get to delay it, you don't get to negotiate it, and you definitely don't get to ignore it. Because if you do, the penalty alone can take a serious bite out of your wealth. So now you're faced with a new reality. You're no longer just managing your investments, you're managing forced income. Have you ever thought about what happens when your retirement income is no longer optional? Here's where things start to get dangerous. The IRS doesn't just ask you to take money out, they decide how much. They look at your total account balance and apply a formula based on your age. And every year, that percentage increases, which means the older you get, the more you're required to withdraw. Even if you don't need the money, even if the market is down, even if taking that money creates a tax problem. Because every dollar you withdraw from a traditional IRA is treated as taxable income. Now imagine this. You're already receiving Social Security, maybe some income from investments. You're comfortable. Everything is working. Then suddenly, you're forced to pull an extra $80,000 or $120,000 from your retirement account. That one move can push you into a higher tax bracket instantly. But it doesn't stop at taxes. Medicare uses something called IRMAA, Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. The more income you show, the more you pay for healthcare. And those increases can add hundreds of dollars per month, per person. And in some cases, it can even cause more of your Social Security to become taxable. So one forced withdrawal creates multiple layers of financial impact, all from money you didn't even need to take. Have you ever considered that your biggest retirement account could become your biggest tax problem? Let me show you how this plays out in real numbers. Imagine a retiree with $1.5 million in a traditional IRA. At age 73, their RMD could land around $55,000 to $60,000. Add Social Security, maybe another $30,000 to $40,000. Now their taxable income jumps into a range they didn't expect. That shift can push them into a higher tax bracket, trigger higher Medicare premiums, and cause up to 85% of their Social Security to become taxable, all from one required withdrawal. Now compare that to someone who planned ahead. They converted portions of their IRA into a Roth in their early 60s. They paid taxes strategically in lower brackets. So when RMD age arrives, their required withdrawals are smaller, their taxable income is lower, and their control is higher. Same starting wealth, completely different outcome. Have you thought about which side of that equation you're heading toward? I once spoke with a retiree who had just over $1.1 million in his IRA. He thought he was in a great position, and on paper he was. But when his RMD kicked in, he was forced to withdraw more than $40,000. That pushed him into a higher tax bracket. The following year, his Medicare premiums increased. And suddenly, a portion of his Social Security that wasn't previously taxed became taxable. Nothing about his lifestyle changed, but his expenses went up. Not because he spent more, because the system forced him to. That's when you realize something most people learn too late. It's not just about how much you save. It's about how your money is taxed when it comes back out. Question of the day. Do you believe taxes in retirement will be higher, lower, or about the same as today? Drop your answer in the comments below. So how do you avoid this? This is where strategy comes in. Because there are ways to reduce the impact of RMDs if you act early enough. Let's break this into 3 simple moves. The first is reduction. This means lowering the size of your taxable accounts before RMDs begin. One of the most common ways to do this is through Roth conversions. You move money from a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA and pay the tax now. Because once that money is in a Roth, it grows tax-free and is not subject to RMDs. The second move is redirection. This is where qualified charitable distributions come in. If you're over 70 and a half, you can send money directly from your IRA to a qualified charity. That money counts toward your RMD, but does not count as taxable income, meaning you satisfy the requirement without increasing your tax burden. The third move is delay. This is where tools like QLACs come into play. A qualified longevity annuity contract allows you to move a portion of your IRA into a structure that delays RMDs on that amount until later, sometimes as late as age 85, which means lower required withdrawals and more control over your taxable income in the early years of retirement. And when you combine these strategies, you shift from reacting to the system to controlling it. Have you started thinking about how you'll control your income before the government controls it for you? Here's the reality. RMDs are not a surprise. They are scheduled, predictable, and completely visible years in advance. But most people ignore them until they're forced into action. And by then, their options are limited. Because the best time to manage your tax exposure is before it becomes mandatory, in your 60s, not your 70s. Because once the withdrawals begin, you're playing defense, and defense is expensive. Now that you know this, RMDs can quietly force taxable income that reshapes your entire retirement. You're going to need to know how to structure withdrawals so you stay in control of your income. If you don't know this, you could spend decades building wealth, only to hand a large portion of it back in taxes you never planned for. The secret is in my next video, where we break down the withdrawal strategy most retirees never use. You don't want to miss it. See you in our next video.